The docking bay of the Interstellar Academy hummed with anticipation as the sleek Earth transport vessel completed its final approach. Students from dozens of species gathered behind the safety barriers, their varied anatomies creating a living mosaic of galactic diversity. Some floated in specialized environmental chambers, while others stood on multiple limbs or balanced on antimatter cushions. "It's arriving," Zenith announced, their crystalline body refracting the bay's lights into prismatic patterns, the crystalline being turned to address their study group. "The human specimen will disembark momentarily." Vaporists swirled excitedly within their containment suit. "I've analyzed 17 research papers on human physiology. Fascinating creatures, but remarkably fragile." The 6 friends had secured prime viewing positions for this historic moment. As top students in the Academy's Xenobiology program, they'd earned the right to observe humanity's first representative to the prestigious institution. The Earth vessel's airlock cycled open with a soft hiss. Academy staff stepped forward with scanning equipment, performing standard decontamination procedures. Then she appeared, Dr. Maya Chen, stepping carefully onto the deck in a simple blue uniform bearing Earth's insignia. Chitten's compound eyes widened. "So small," the insectoid clicked softly. "And so soft-looking." Maya glanced around, her eyes widening slightly at the assembly of alien life forms. The human's vital signs, displayed on the medical monitors flanking the airlock, showed an increased heart rate and elevated stress hormones. "Observe her caution," Tarak whispered, photosynthetic scales shifting from green to amber in excitement. "She tests each step before committing her weight." Classic prey behavior. The human proceeded through the welcome protocols with careful precision. When a robotic assistant moved suddenly near her, she flinched visibly. The alien students exchanged knowing glances. The database entries were correct. Mycelium's collective voice murmured through their fungal body. "Their pain response is triggered by even potential threats. How exhausting it must be." After the formal welcoming ceremony, Maya was escorted to her quarters by Academy staff. The study group convened in their private laboratory to discuss their observations. The Academy database confirms humans require extensive safety protocols. A query projected telepathically from within their water tank. Their medical treatments alone suggest extraordinary sensitivity to damage. Zenith interfaced with the laboratory's information terminal, displaying human medical procedures on the holographic projector. The aliens watched with growing sympathy as images of surgeries, treatments for broken bones, and wound care flashed before them. They must live in constant anxiety, Vaporous concluded, tendrils of gas forming worry patterns. Their entire technological development seems focused on protecting themselves from their environment. Tarak nodded thoughtfully. Their space vessels contain redundant life support systems. Their habitats on Earth incorporate countless safety measures. Even their food preparation involves elaborate precautions against contamination. We should approach interaction carefully, Chitin suggested. Any sudden movements might trigger their fear response. The group formulated a research proposal, hoping to study this intriguing new species while respecting what they assumed must be tremendous physical vulnerability. Their preliminary title, Pain Avoidance Behaviors in Human Social Integration, reflected their fundamental misunderstanding. Meanwhile, in her new quarters, Maya unpacked her equipment with methodical efficiency. She placed a family photo beside her research terminal, then activated her communication device. Mission Control, this is Chen. First contact successful. Beginning integration phase tomorrow. She smiled as she gazed out her viewport at the stars. They seem curious about me. That's a good start. She reviewed her research objectives once more before sleep cycle, unaware that across the station, 6 brilliant alien minds were developing entirely wrong conclusions about her species, conclusions that would soon be dramatically challenged. The grand amphitheater of the Interstellar Academy, filled with students and faculty for the first Xenobiology Symposium of the semester. Floating illumination spheres dimmed as the department head, Professor Krill, took the central platform. Today, we continue our exploration of evolutionary adaptations across sentient species, the professor announced, their four arms gesturing to the diverse audience. Each presenting student will share their species' approach to physical damage and recovery. Maya sat in the front row, tablet in hand, fascinated by each presentation. Zenith demonstrated remarkable regenerative abilities by deliberately shattering their crystalline arm, the fragments hovering momentarily before reassembling perfectly. Crystalline species experience pressure and temperature changes as information, not discomfort, Zenith explained. Physical damage simply requires structural reorganization. Vaporous displayed holographic images showing how their gaseous form could disperse to avoid harm entirely. Molecular cohesion can be temporarily sacrificed to preserve consciousness, they explained, their containment suit shifting colors as they spoke. Most impressive was Mycelium's presentation. The fungal collective separated a portion of themselves, allowed it to wither while explaining, consciousness exists throughout our network. Loss of physical components causes no distress, as our memories and identity remain distributed. When Maya's turn arrived, she approached the platform with carefully prepared slides. The audience grew unusually quiet, their collective attention focused on humanity's first academic representative. Human healing begins with acknowledgement of damage. Maya began, displaying an image of a cut finger. Our bodies register injury through pain receptors, which transmit specific information about type and severity of damage. A ripple of discomfort moved through the audience. Several silicon-based students shifted uncomfortably. Maya continued, unaware of their reaction. This initiates our inflammatory response. Blood vessels dilate, bringing specialized cells to the injury site. She advanced to a microscopic view of white blood cells surrounding bacteria. These cells consume pathogens while others begin tissue repair. The image shifted to a time-lapse of a wound closing. Over days or weeks, depending on severity, our bodies rebuild damaged tissue through cellular division and protein synthesis. Professor Xrill interrupted. Dr. Chen, if I understand correctly, your species remains conscious during this entire process. Yes, of course, Maya replied. Though pain typically diminishes as healing progresses. Murmurs spread through the amphitheater. A gelatinous student near the back visibly contracted into a protective ball. And these medical interventions. Professor Xrill gestured to Maya's next slide showing surgical sutures. Maya nodded enthusiastically. When damage exceeds certain thresholds, we physically reconnect tissue to ensure proper alignment during healing. In more severe cases, we might transplant tissue from one body location to another. The alien students exchanged horrified glances. What Maya described as routine medical care sounded like systematic torture to most of their sensibilities. During the subsequent question period, Turak raised a hand. How do humans maintain psychological equilibrium while experiencing such prolonged sensory distress? Maya blinked, trying to parse the question. Do you mean how do we cope with pain? Various methods: meditation, analgesic compounds, distraction techniques. Pain is unpleasant but manageable. Unpleasant. Aquari repeated telepathically to their study group. A remarkable understatement. As Maya finished her presentation, the alien audience viewed her with new eyes, not with scientific curiosity, but with profound sympathy. In their collective understanding, humans had just been reclassified from interesting new species to tragically sensitive beings deserving compassion. After the symposium, the study group gathered in their laboratory, their research focus shifting dramatically. We must adjust our approach, Chidden decided, mandibles clicking softly. Direct questioning about physical experiences might cause psychological distress. Mycelium's surface rippled thoughtfully. Perhaps humans compensate for physical vulnerability through advanced intellectual capacity. Or exceptional courage, Zenith added quietly, to face a universe so full of potential harm with such fragile forms. None of them realized how thoroughly they had misunderstood or how dramatically their perspective would soon change. 3 months into the semester, the Advanced Materials Laboratory bustled with activity. Students from 17 species worked on their assigned projects, manipulating matter at the molecular level under careful supervision. Maya had integrated well into academy life, though her alien classmates still treated her with the gentle caution one might reserve for an unusually delicate specimen. "Dr. Chen, your particle alignment is exceptionally precise," Professor Kiravosh commented, examining Maya's work. "Most organic species lack the stability for such detailed manipulation." Maya smiled, pleased at the recognition. "Thank you, Professor. Years of microsurgery training helped develop steady hands." Across the laboratory, Aquari floated in their specialized hovering tank, adjusting the molecular structure of a compound with telepathic precision. The study group had scattered throughout the room, each working on individual projects while occasionally sharing observations. The first warning came as a subtle vibration in the deck plating. Maya looked up, instinctively sensing something amiss before any alarms activated. A high-pitched whine emanated from the quantum stabilization array in the center of the laboratory. "Power fluctuation detected," announced the laboratory's artificial intelligence. "Containment field instability in Sector 4. Professor Kiravosh moved swiftly toward the central console. Everyone remained calm and proceed to. The professor never finished the sentence. With a blinding flash, the containment field collapsed, releasing a cloud of caustic particles into the air. Emergency force fields activated instantly, compartmentalizing the laboratory to prevent wider contamination, but trapping everyone inside with the hazardous particles. "Protective measures," the professor shouted over the blaring alarms. "All vulnerable species initiate emergency protocols." Most students activated personal shields or retreated to safety zones. The caustic cloud billowed through the room, its particles glowing with unstable energy. Maya pulled up her laboratory smock to cover her mouth and nose, eyes watering from the acrid substances. A crash from across the room drew everyone's attention. Aquari's hovering tank had collided with an equipment rack during the initial explosion. Spiderweb cracks spread across the reinforced glass, water seeping through in thin streams. Tank integrity compromised. The AI warned dispassionately. Aquatic life support failing. Maya's eyes widened. Without their water environment, Aquari would die within minutes. She looked around, seeing other students frozen in indecision or focused on their own safety. The caustic cloud hung between her and Aquari's position. Without hesitation, Maya grabbed an emergency repair kit from the wall and sprinted directly into the chemical cloud. The particles contacted her exposed skin immediately, creating painful burns that would have sent most humans retreating. Maya pushed forward, ignoring the searing sensation as blisters formed on her forearms and neck. "What is she doing?" Zenith exclaimed, watching through the haze. "The particles will cause severe neural damage to unprotected organics." Maya reached Aquari's tank just as a major crack threatened to split it entirely. Working with practiced precision despite her increasingly painful injuries, she applied quick seal patches to the most critical fractures. The telepathic alien inside watched with astonishment as Maya methodically stabilized the tank's integrity, her expression focused despite obvious discomfort. "Immediate decontamination required for all exposed organics," the AI announced. "Medical teams standing by." "Almost done," Maya muttered, applying the final patch. Only then did she acknowledge the burning sensation across her skin, glancing down at her reddened, blistering arms with clinical detachment. Professor Kiravosh approached as the emergency systems finally cleared the air. "Dr. Chen, you require immediate medical attention." "After we secure Aquari's tank," Maya insisted, already calculating the safest transport method. "The patches are temporary. We need to transfer them to a proper containment vessel." The alien students stared in disbelief. Their fundamental understanding of human behavior had just been shattered. According to everything they believed, Maya should have prioritized avoiding pain above all else. Instead, the Academy's medical center maintained different environmental chambers to accommodate the diverse biological needs of its students. Maya had been placed in a standard oxygen-nitrogen environment, optimized for carbon-based life forms. The alien study group hesitated outside her room, unsure what to expect. The medical staff reported extensive epidermal damage. Chitin clicked softly. By human standards, her injuries must be extremely distressing. Perhaps we should wait until she's unconscious, Vaporous suggested, swirling anxiously in their containment suit. Humans apparently enter periodic shutdown states to process trauma. Zenith, the most direct of the group, overrode their concerns. She risked herself for one of us. We should acknowledge her sacrifice. When they entered, they found Maya sitting upright in the recovery bed, her burned arms covered in translucent medical gel patches. Holographic displays monitored her vital signs while she reviewed research data on a floating screen. She looked up and smiled at her visitors. "You came. I'm so glad." She gestured to the monitoring equipment. "Sorry about the mess. They insist on keeping me here overnight for observation." The aliens exchanged confused glances. Maya's behavior defied their expectations entirely. "Your injuries," Aquari projected telepathically, their water tank now securely reinforced. "Are you not experiencing significant distress?" Maya's expression turned thoughtful. "Oh, you mean pain?" "Yes, there's some, but the medical manual contains analgesic compounds." She noticed their continued confusion. "It's manageable. Certainly worth it to ensure your safety." Aquari. "I don't understand," Zenith said, crystalline structure vibrating with confusion. "You deliberately subjected yourself to caustic particles. Our database indicates human skin has thousands of pain receptors per square centimeter." Maya laughed softly. "That's technically correct, but there's more to the story." She carefully removed one of the gel patches, revealing angry red skin beneath, but also new pink tissue already forming at the edges of the burn. "Look here," she invited them closer. "What do you see?" Mycelium extended a sensory filament toward the exposed skin, stopping just short of contact. "Cellular activity at an accelerated rate. Your damaged tissues are being replaced." "Exactly," Maya confirmed. "Human healing begins immediately after injury. While the pain signals alert me to damage, the healing process starts simultaneously." She replaced the gel patch and continued. "Pain isn't our enemy. It's information. It tells me what's damaged and how severely. Without pain, I wouldn't know what needs protection or treatment." Tarak moved closer, photosynthetic scales shifting to a curious blue. "But your medical database describes pain as suffering and distress. Your own literature categorizes it as negative." "It is unpleasant," Maya acknowledged. "But that's by design. Pain demands attention because ignoring damage can threaten survival. However, humans have evolved alongside our pain response. We can contextualize it, compartmentalize it when necessary, and even override it in emergencies." She gestured to her arms. "These burns hurt, yes. But the pain has purpose. It prevents me from using damaged tissue until it heals, redirects energy to recovery, and teaches me to avoid similar harm in the future." The aliens absorbed this information silently, their understanding of human physiology transforming with each word. "May I?" Chitin asked, compound eyes fixed on the medical displays. When Maya nodded, the insectoid interfaced with the system, analyzing her medical data. "Fascinating." They clicked after a moment. "Your immune response has identified specific compounds from the caustic particles and is producing targeted antibodies. And look here, accelerated cell division precisely at damage sites. That's the beauty of the human healing system," Maya said with quiet pride. "It's adaptive, efficient, and remarkably intelligent. We don't just heal, we learn from every injury." The study group departed later with their fundamental assumptions shattered. What they had interpreted as a tragic vulnerability was revealing itself as something entirely different, an evolutionary marvel they had completely misunderstood. 1 week after the laboratory incident, Maya's burns had healed remarkably, leaving only faint pink marks where raw flesh had once been. The alien study group gathered in their private research space, a hexagonal chamber designed to accommodate all their environmental needs simultaneously. The Science Council approved our proposal, Zenith announced, their crystalline form gleaming under the laboratory lights. We have official authorization for the Comparative Healing Initiative. Turak displayed the approval notification on the main screen. Full access to advanced imaging equipment, genetic sequencers, and cellular manipulation tools. Impressive resources for a student project. The council seemed particularly interested in the human healing aspects, Chitin noted, mandibles clicking thoughtfully. Apparently, Dr. Chen's actions during the accident created quite a stir among the faculty. Maya arrived minutes later, carrying a sealed container of biological samples. Sorry I'm late. The medical center finally cleared me to return to regular duties. She placed the container in an analysis chamber. These are tissue samples from my healing process, taken at 24-hour intervals. The research space quickly transformed into a hub of intense scientific activity. Each species contributed unique perspectives and methods to the study. Mycelium's natural ability to analyze cellular signals proved invaluable for understanding the chemical pathways of human immune response. Zenith's crystalline memory structure could store and model vast amounts of comparative data. Vaporous could detect subtle chemical changes imperceptible to standard equipment. Your neutrophils behave remarkably like our hunter spores, Mycelium observed, extending tendrils through a specialized interface to examine Maya's blood samples. Both identify threats and consume them, though through different mechanisms. Maya nodded enthusiastically. Convergent evolution across entirely different biological systems. The same problems often produce similar solutions, even on different worlds. As days passed, their research expanded beyond Maya's healing burns. Each alien voluntarily contributed to the comparative analysis, allowing their own healing mechanisms to be documented alongside human processes. Specialized equipment recorded Zenith reconstituting damaged crystal matrices, Chitin regenerating sections of exoskeleton, and Aquari repairing cellular structures through telepathic direction. Look at this comparative analysis, Maya said one evening, displaying a holographic model of healing signatures across all 7 species. There's a fundamental pattern underlying all our different approaches. The model showed different pathways but similar objectives: damage identification, containment, repair, and adaptation. Where the aliens had evolved specialized systems for their environments, humans had developed a generalized approach that could address countless injury types with moderate efficiency. You trade specialization for adaptability, Turak observed, photosynthetic scales rippling with interest. Our species can regenerate light-gathering tissues with perfect fidelity, but struggle with mechanical damage. You handle both adequately, if not optimally. That's precisely it, Maya agreed. Earth presented too many different threats for humans to evolve specialized responses to each. Instead, we developed a flexible system that works reasonably well for almost anything. The research revealed something else unexpected: the remarkable precision of human pain responses. Unlike the binary damage alerts of some species, human pain carried astonishingly detailed information: type, location, severity, and urgency, all encoded in signals that the conscious mind could interpret almost instantly. This challenges everything in the Academy's classification system, Aquari noted telepathically. Humans are categorized as physically vulnerable species, but your recovery capabilities suggest something entirely different. What would you call us instead? Maya asked with genuine curiosity. Zenith considered for a moment, crystal facets turning contemplatively. Perhaps adaptive recovery specialists. Not the fastest healers, nor the most specialized, but possibly the most versatile. The academic community began to take notice of their findings. What had started as a curious investigation by 6 alien students had evolved into a groundbreaking revaluation of human biology, and they were just beginning to understand the full implications of their discovery. 6 months into their research, the team made their breakthrough discovery during a late-night analysis session. Maya stood surrounded by holographic displays showing comparative recovery rates across dozens of injury types, her expression shifting from concentration to realization. "Computer, overlay all human healing response patterns," she instructed. The system compiled the data, creating a complex 3-dimensional model hovering before them. "Now overlay healing patterns from all other studied species." As the combined model materialized, the room fell silent. The correlation was unmistakable. "It can't be coincidence," Chitin whispered, compound eyes widening. "Human healing incorporates elements from multiple evolutionary paths." Maya nodded slowly. Not identical mechanisms, but similar principles applied across entirely different biological frameworks. The discovery transformed their understanding. Human inflammatory response shared characteristics with Zenith's crystalline restructuring, both isolating damaged components while repair systems activated. Human cellular regeneration employed chemical signals comparable to mycelium's fungal networks. The formation of protective scar tissue mimicked aspects of chitin's exoskeleton repair. "This explains the adaptability," Turak said, scales shifting to excited gold patterns. "You've essentially evolved multiple healing strategies in parallel within a single system." Most remarkable was their finding about human pain responses. Far from the primitive alarm system they'd initially assumed, human pain represented one of the most sophisticated sensory networks known. Through careful analysis, they documented how human nervous systems could distinguish between hundreds of different tissue damage types, prioritize based on severity, and even temporarily recalibrate sensitivity in emergency situations. "Your pain system doesn't just warn you of damage," Vaporous observed, swirling thoughtfully in their containment suit. "It provides a comprehensive diagnostic assessment at the moment of injury." "More than that," Maya explained, highlighting neural pathways on the display. "It allows for conscious override when necessary. When I ran through the caustic cloud to reach a quarry, my brain recognized the pain but deprioritized it because another objective took precedence." The team worked through the night, compiling their findings into a comprehensive paper titled Adaptive Recovery, Reclassifying Human Healing Responses. By morning, Maya had finished the conclusion while her alien colleagues finalized the supporting data. This challenges fundamental assumptions throughout xenobiology, Mycelium noted as their work neared completion. The prevailing view has always categorized species by healing efficiency rather than adaptability. "That's why this matters," Maya replied, fatigue evident in her voice but excitement undiminished. "It's not just about correcting misperceptions about humans. It's about reconsidering how we evaluate biological systems across the galaxy." When they submitted their paper to the Academy Scientific Journal, the response was immediate. Professor Krill personally visited their laboratory, multifaceted eyes examining their data with intense scrutiny. "This is unexpected," the professor admitted after reviewing their findings. "If correct, it would require significant taxonomic revisions." "The evidence speaks for itself," Zenith responded, confidence resonating through their crystalline form. During the following weeks, academic debate ignited across the academy. Some faculty remained skeptical, questioning how they could have misunderstood human physiology so fundamentally. Others embraced the new perspective, recognizing how it explained previous contradictions in xenobiological classifications. The study group gathered to celebrate when their paper was officially accepted for publication. As they shared refreshments compatible with their diverse biologies, Zenith made an observation that silenced the room. "Perhaps what truly sets humans apart isn't your healing itself, but your relationship with it," the crystalline being said thoughtfully. "You neither fear pain nor surrender to it. You acknowledge it, then act despite it when necessary." Maya smiled. "That might be the most insightful observation about humanity I've ever heard." None of them realized how soon this understanding would be tested, or how crucial it would prove to be. The Academy's emergency alert system activated without warning, its distinctive three-tone signal echoing through every corridor and chamber. Holographic warnings materialized at key junctions, directing students to emergency shelters as security barriers deployed automatically. "Attention all personnel," announced the station's AI in multiple languages simultaneously. "Critical system failure detected in Central Biofiltration Complex. This is not a drill. Proceed to designated safety zones." Maya and her research team had been preparing for their upcoming presentation to the Academy Science Council when the alerts began. They exchanged concerned glances as environmental readouts on their laboratory displays showed rapidly deteriorating air quality throughout the station. "The central filters have been compromised," Tarak announced, interfacing directly with the environmental monitoring system. "Some kind of aggressive microorganism is multiplying within the primary purification chambers. At current progression rates, atmosphere will become toxic within 3 hours." The Academy's Emergency Council convened immediately, gathering the station's leading scientific minds via holographic link. Maya and her team joined from their laboratory, watching as the chief engineer displayed schematics of the affected systems. "The contaminant appears to be a previously unknown extremophile," explained the engineer, a multi-limbed being with specialized appendages for technical work. "It's consuming the biofiltration medium and producing toxic compounds as waste. Why not simply purge the entire system?" asked one council member. "The organism has integrated with crucial components. A complete purge would destroy the filtration capacity permanently. We've isolated the contamination, but intervention is required to neutralize it while preserving filter functionality." The solution became clear but troubling. Someone would need to physically enter the contamination chamber to adjust the nanofiltration array and apply a targeted treatment. The challenge was the chamber's current state, flooded with radiation and toxic compounds that would severely damage any biological entity. Most species would suffer irreversible cellular breakdown, the medical director stated grimly. "We need a volunteer capable of withstanding significant damage while maintaining motor function long enough to complete the procedure." A heavy silence fell over the connected participants until Maya spoke. "I'll do it," her alien colleagues immediately protested. "The radiation levels would cause severe cellular damage," Vaporous warned, their containment suit pulsing with agitation. Maya nodded calmly. "Yes, but human cells can withstand and repair radiation damage better than most species, especially with immediate treatment afterward." She displayed relevant sections from their research paper. "Our comparative studies prove I'm the most suitable candidate, statistically speaking." After intense debate, the council reluctantly agreed. There simply wasn't time to find an alternative. As Maya prepared for entry, her research team assisted with protective measures, inadequate against the full radiation dose, but enough to prevent immediate critical damage. "This isn't heroism," Maya told them as she sealed her lightweight protection suit. "It's applied biology. Sometimes the best solution requires accepting temporary damage to prevent permanent destruction." Outside the contamination chamber, monitors displayed Maya's vital signs alongside camera feeds. The station held its collective breath as she entered the radiation-flooded environment. Immediate alerts showed cellular damage beginning across her exposed tissues. Despite this, her movements remained methodical as she navigated to the central array. "Radiation burns developing on exposed epidermis," reported the medical monitor. "Cellular degradation accelerating." "She must be experiencing significant pain," Mycelium observed, tendrils writhing with concern. Zenith's crystalline form vibrated with tension. Yet she continues functioning with remarkable precision. They watched as Maya administered the treatment compound, adjusted critical calibration mechanisms, and reprogrammed the filtration cycles, all while her body absorbed dangerous levels of radiation. Her vital signs fluctuated but stabilized repeatedly, demonstrating the remarkable human ability to maintain homeostasis under extreme stress. When Maya finally emerged from the chamber 47 minutes later, she collapsed into a waiting medical transport. Despite visible radiation burns and concerning internal damage, she remained conscious enough to direct the medical team based on her own research. Targeted stem cell therapy, she instructed weekly, and prepare synthetic growth factors based on formulas CR7 from our published data. As the medical team rushed her to treatment, the station's AI confirmed what everyone had hoped for: biofiltration systems restabilizing. Contaminant neutralization successful. 3 weeks after the biofiltration crisis, the Academy's grand ceremonial hall filled with students, faculty, and dignitaries from across the Galactic Federation. The annual achievement ceremony had been modified this year to include special recognition for those involved in saving the station. Maya entered the hall to thunderous applause, walking steadily despite her recent ordeal. The advanced treatments developed from her research team's findings had accelerated her recovery tremendously. Only the faintest pink markings on her exposed skin hinted at the radiation damage she had endured. The Academy director, an ancient being composed of swirling energy contained within an ornate mechanical frame, addressed the assembled crowd. Today we honor not only academic achievement but the practical application of knowledge in service to others. When Maya and her research team were called forward to receive the Distinguished Science Medal, the director's tone grew solemn. This group has fundamentally transformed our understanding of comparative biology. Their work challenges classifications that have stood unchallenged for centuries. The medals were presented, shimmering with embedded quantum particles that displayed each recipient's greatest achievement when viewed from different angles. Maya showed the molecular structure of human healing factors alongside radiation repair pathways. Furthermore, the director continued, I am pleased to announce that humans will be reclassified in all Federation databases, no longer categorized as physically vulnerable species, but rather as adaptive recovery specialists, a designation that more accurately reflects their remarkable biological capabilities. During the celebration afterward, Maya's alien research partners presented her with a specially commissioned emblem, a symbolic representation of universal healing principles, incorporating elements from all their species. The elegant design showed damage and repair not as opposing forces, but as complementary aspects of biological existence. We began by pitying humans, Chitin admitted, mandibles clicking softly. We assumed your pain responses meant constant suffering and fear. We failed to see the elegant balance of your biology. An understandable misconception, Maya responded. Different evolutionary paths led to different solutions. My people once made similar assumptions about alien species. Their conversation was interrupted by Academy administrators bringing welcome news. 10 additional human students have been approved for the upcoming academic year, along with expanded funding for their continued research. The alien team members, now considered experts on human physiology, were invited to serve as orientation guides. As the ceremony concluded, Aquari approached Maya privately. The water-dwelling telepath projected a question directly into her mind. What I still don't understand is how you knew you would heal after such extensive damage. The risk seemed significant. Maya smiled. That's the final piece you're missing about humans. We don't just heal physically, we adapt psychologically. The possibility of permanent damage is something humans have always faced. We call it courage, not the absence of fear, but action despite it. Aquari's telepathic response carried understanding and newfound respect. Perhaps that is your species' greatest adaptation of all. Maya looked out the observation window at the stars beyond, thinking of the 9 other humans soon to join her. Perhaps it is, she agreed. But I suspect every species has capabilities we haven't yet discovered. That's why we're all here, isn't it? Not just to teach, but to learn. Later that evening, Maya recorded her final research notes of the semester. The holographic display showed remarkable images, her fully regenerated tissues under microscopic examination, completely repaired from radiation damage that would have permanently compromised most species. She smiled as she added the final line to her report. In conclusion, pain is not the enemy of progress, but rather its companion. It is through challenge that adaptation occurs, a principle that applies to individuals, species, and perhaps even understanding itself. The end.